Manifestors are an energy type. And as an energy type, they are always prepared and ready to act. As a matter of fact, as a minority, they are less than 9% of the human population. They are the only type that can act on their own, and in acting on their own, actually be correct. And this is one of the inherent difficulties in the psychological development of a manifestor, because the manifestor can act. In many ways, the manifestor child, right from the beginning, is a threat in terms of, its security in this life. There is great concern from its parents because it seems to be uncontrollable, that something will happen to it, that something will go wrong, that it will get into trouble, whatever the case may be. There are a great many constraints that are placed on the manifestor child from the moment it comes into the world. These restraints, they lead to the beginning or the foundation of what will be manifestor anger. Most manifestor anger has to do with interference. In other words, that manifestors being designed to act on their own, that the moment that there are forces that get in their way, the moment that there are forces that deny them, this is the moment that the anger arises. Now, obviously, depending on the nature of the design, the anger can manifest in different ways. It can manifest as emotional anger, ego anger. In other words, there's all kinds of qualities of the anger that can emerge from the manifestor. But the key is recognizing that the anger of the manifestor is something that can only be placed within its proper context when the manifestor is operating correctly, which means that the child manifestor has to learn how to ask permission, and the adult manifestor must inform. And the moment that the adult manifestor informs, it reduces immediately the level of resistance and thus the potential for the display of anger. Now, of course, when we're looking at manifestors, we're looking at the kinds of human beings that not only carry an enormous amount of anger within them, but given the circumstances of their lives, their societies, whatever, so much of that anger is held inside. These are beings that can become very ill. These are beings that truly can collapse from the anger. And obviously, there are many who are going to be victims of the release of this anger. And yet it's something to understand about the nature of the manifestor, that anger as an expression is not in and of itself wrong. It isn't. It's as much a part of the manifestor as anything else. It is a quality of its nature. And there is something to recognize in the difference between operating as not self and operating correctly as oneself. The difference in terms of the theme, that is the difference in terms of the nature of the anger and the way in which the anger will be expressed, is that when you're operating correctly as a manifestor, there are always going to be expressions of anger, but they have no hook. They have no hook. They don't last. They don't hold on. They don't bite. They don't eat into one. Oh, I know so well. I am a manifestor myself. I am an ego manifestor. And I am somebody who is deeply, deeply capable of moments of pure, unadulterated anger. Now, I watched that in the sense of looking back and seeing what I was like before my experience and before this knowledge became a part of my life. And of course, the anger was something that was there almost all the time. And not only was it there all the time, but it just didn't go away. It wasn't like the anger disappeared. It held on, even when it wasn't in the front, if you will, of the consciousness. It was still lingering there in the background. And now it's very interesting to watch. I'm still a manifestor. I'm still somebody who has as a key expression in my nature a theme of anger. And I watch those moments when my anger comes out. And what's so interesting about it is that you can see so clearly, at least I can see so clearly, that it's nothing more than an energy, a release of energy. And the moment that the energy is released, it's gone. It's gone. It's one of the great delights of my own process, is to see this magical transformation in my identification with my life. You know, I don't identify with my vehicle. I'm a passenger in here. And what I notice is that when the passenger isn't identified with the vehicle just processes energy the way it was intended to be processed.